Welcome to the Grit Podcast.
Welcome to the Grit Podcast, the podcast that motivates and encourages you to become the real man you're destined to be. Broadcasting live in the rugged Northwest, just east of the trailblazing city of Portland. So let's get locked and loaded, because it's time to get gritty with it. Here's your host and lead grit man, Jamie Worley.
Well, man, I'll tell you what, Jake, it's great to have you as a guest here on the Grit Podcast. We're going to talk about something that I think a lot of guys struggle with. Some guys are really good at it, and some guys like me just really struggle at this, or did for years. I finally got this stuff dialed in. But today I want to talk about attacking the day. Now, seeing as how you have straight daylight for 70 days, this is going to be good for us to figure out how you attack every single day. Now, the fact that you and Josh have both been in the military, more specifically the Marines, okay, you guys have a leg up on just about everybody else who has not experienced the military on what it means to attack the day. Now, last time I talked a little bit about some different things about how tomorrow starts today, but today I want to talk about three things, basically, how attacking the day is really an art, A-R-T. It starts with a morning attitude. It starts with having a morning routine and then accomplishing those morning tasks. Let's talk about the first thing, having a morning attitude. In other words, having a morning attitude where you're resetting your attitude so that you can move forward in the day. How important, Jake, in your opinion, is attitude when you first wake up? How do you approach your day?
I struggle with sleep
mentally.
It's a challenge, but I've learned to enjoy challenges. So my neck is messed up from the Marines, and I never really got a good night's sleep for decades. And it was really hard. And so that messed up my hormones. That led to a whole plethora of other issues that I had to learn to deal with. Well, come to find out, your sleep is critically important. I knew from working out and physical training that your body rebuilds itself at night. So in order for you to, everything's cause and effect, right? So in order to wake up with a good attitude, you had to sleep with a good attitude. In order to sleep with a good attitude, you had to go to bed with a good attitude. And I'm reading now on ways to set your mind right as you go to sleep so you can wake up right. For me, historically, if I'm very excited about something, I can just fly out of bed with minimal sleep, and it's great. However, unfortunately for me, sometimes I just want to kill the alarm clock. And it's like I finally can relax and get the good sleep that I want to get, and then the alarm's barking in my ear, and it makes me want to do vile things to alarm clocks. But that's always been a challenge for me. But usually, once I can get up, I'm a morning person, and I can smell that crisp morning air, and I can really get. I like getting a jump on the day. Years ago, I listened to something Earl Nightingale talking about getting up an hour and a half early, so you have your own time by yourself before the house wakes up, and you can just kind of collect your thoughts. And I've used that meditation period to kind of shape my day and kind of decide what you want to think about, what you slept on, and then to think about what you're going to awaken to and what the day might have in store for you, and how to put that into perspective.
Why do you think, why is that so important in your mind to take that time in the morning hour or so and just go through all those things mentally? Like, what is that? What's the benefit of doing something like that?
So I got a question.
I'll tell you what, I'm a morning person, but there's a lot of people out there, like my daughter, we wake up at about the same time. I don't talk to her. Okay. We don't even make eye contact. Okay. I value my life, my very life. Some people aren't like that, but how do you benefit from taking that time before you really do anything?
I think a lot of this is not so much as resetting the mindset every morning as preparing the mind for the next day. I think if you're prepared mentally and ready to roll on something, and I think that time in the morning where you're sitting there getting yourself ready, as Jake was saying, to go and like you're prepping everything. I don't know if it's a reset or a prep for the day.
Yeah. I mean, I think it could be both. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Go ahead, Jake. Sorry.
I was just going to say, your hormones, your feelings are tied to your hormones, are tied to your state of mind. And to some degree, you can control, manipulate that. So taking that time to pray, to be thankful, to be in a gratuitous state, lowers the cortisol, increases your other, oxytocin, your happier hormones, which makes you feel better, more optimistic about your day. And being in that headspace whether you're a believer or not. It's still, science has proven that helps you chemically, and therefore your hormones, and you feel better. So if you can actively, like Josh said, kind of reset or strategize, you can realign your hormones to be more productive. Nobody wants to wake up and have a bad day. Nobody wants to wake up and be, poopy pants about their day. They want to wake up and be energized and enthusiastic and live in a state of vitality. So being able to sit back and think about that and decide how you want to have it, and if you're having a bad day, how to clean that out. It's a very meditative thing.
Yeah, it almost seems like taking time in the morning to either reset or get your mind prepared, like Josh said, however we want to put it. It declutters kind of the system so that you can start fresh when you actually put your first foot forward after waking up and start to accomplish these things. There's a quote here I've got, and it says, your attitude will either empower you or destroy you. Do you guys find that to be true? Your attitude will either empower you or it will destroy you. And it's no wonder that an attitude, the most important time you have an attitude, you develop it, is first thing in the morning, because it seems, I don't know about you, but for me, man, it sets the pace for the rest of my day. If I wake up bitching and moaning and I'm complaining, etc., I do not have an attitude of gratitude. It's really hard to gain that when I've started off the wrong way. You know what I mean? Do you guys find that to be true, that your attitude will either empower you or destroy you for the day?
I believe so. Yes. I believe it does really well, because it, just like you said about your daughter struggling to even talk to her in the morning because she's on edge or whatever, however you want to call it. My son, before him and I really started working on him, he was the same way. He would always say, Dad, how do you wake up in the morning and you're just ready to go? Like everything mentally was just ready to pop the minute I woke up. Yeah. And it's because, like what Jake was talking about, I first of all don't allow myself to get into that, depressed state, or allow myself to get into that negative viewpoint. Because if you're attacking every day with a positive mindset and ready to roll, it's like you can get up, start talking or doing whatever. Plus you grab that cup of Joe and ready to roll. Well, I don't know if I want to say it's a Joe. That's an insult to the coffee. Sorry. Cup of coffee.
Welcome to the Grit. You said exactly what's on our mind. Hey, Josh, I appreciate you building back better every day in your home. Good job, buddy. Hey, Jake, Josh is a real fan of building back better.
Oh, go ahead. I love that phrase. It's too bad it's ruined.
That's okay. We're going to make the Grit great again. So. No, but I get what you're saying. There's another quote I want to run by you guys, see what you thought. It says that weakness of attitude becomes weakness of character. Weakness of attitude will become weakness of character. That's what it'll result in. You find that to be true, that when you have a weak attitude, number one, what is a weak attitude anyway? What do you think a weak attitude is?
We could do
That's a hard one, isn't it? What is a weak attitude? I think it's just a bad attitude. It's a failure attitude. It's a loser's attitude. It's a negative attitude. Foolish. A lot of people think, well, you want me to be positive all the time. Well, I want you to see the positive in everything, including the negative. It's not you're fooling yourself to think that something bad is good. You're looking at it in a realistic way, that this is really bad. But this is what we can do to solve that problem, or this is what look at the good this bad can bring about if we see it and we operate within it and deal with it the right way. But weakness of attitude can become weakness of character.
Go for it, Jake.
I think Josh knows where I'm going to go with this one. So I like following that guy Jocko, and he's got a saying called "good." Just something bad happens, good. And what I've learned studying emotional intelligence and psychology, you've got the reptilian part of your brain, the mammalian part of your brain, and then your prefrontal cortex, which is more for our human part of our brain. And studying victimhood and victimness, if you have that weak, defeated attitude, it shuts down that prefrontal cortex, and so you're not going to solve any problems. You're not going to see a better way. You're not going to figure anything out. if you say good, if you find a positive attitude, you're not weak, you're strong. You find something, even if you're sitting at a stoplight and you get sideswiped, good. Find something to jump onto that, because it turns on that magical part of your brain, that God-given part of your brain that okay, maybe I need to have more combat alertness while I'm sitting here. Maybe I should have, not look at my phone. I should be paying attention more. I should park a different way or hold back a little bit from the light. Find something in any situation to be constructive towards it, and scientifically, it turns on that prefrontal cortex and makes you solve problems. And it's not weak. It's actually very, very empowering. It's the opposite of the victimhood. It's the opposite of the shut down your brain and make you weak and pathetic. It's very empowering to live in that headspace.
Yeah, I also think it's impossible to be thankful or gracious or have gratitude about a negative situation that's happened that may open your eyes to something or lead you into something better. If you have a negative attitude towards all of that, then it's pretty impossible to have a gracious and thankful attitude. Like you said, you get sideswiped. You can complain about the damage, they didn't have insurance, et cetera, but where's the gratitude that you're alive, that you survived this thing, that it wasn't worse? And when we're not able to see those positive aspects of a really bad situation, it's impossible to be thankful for the good that comes out of it when you have a negative attitude. Maybe not impossible, maybe so, but it's definitely a struggle. It's a lot, and sometimes it takes a lot of hard work to see the good in stuff, but it's always there, isn't it?
I think so. Think about it from a physiological point of view. Your stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol, coursing through your body. You got to flush that out and replace that with more positive hormones that make you feel better. If you have this toxic concoction going through your body, it's really hard to be appreciative of anything. And so you have to diligently work to have your mind to reset those hormones. That way you are thinking right. You are thinking better. You can't say, oh man, I'm glad I had this heavy duty rig, or you're right. I am fine, or you didn't have somebody in the passenger seat, or you're mobile enough to get up and assist somebody that may need help. And there's so many things, but you got to have your head right, and practicing that takes effort. Being cognizant of that takes effort. It's on lots of different levels. It's good.
It is.
Would you say that a lot of this attitude falls into the next part of your whole art phrase?
It does.
Routine. I think all of this attitude has to become a routine in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Habit. Routine, meaning having a plan. You can't have. We all have routines, whether we plan them or not. We all have habits. We all live a life of habit. We are creatures of habit by nature. God created us to be creatures of habit. We tend to eat the same foods. We tend to take the same routes when we're driving around. We tend to say the same things, react the same ways. We create these neurological pathways in our brain, and those become patterns. And that's why it's so hard to change sometimes. It's like what Jake was saying about all the neurological and the chemical things that are going on in your brain when certain things happen. We got to use that to our advantage. And so throughout life, we create these neural pathways of behavior, not just behavior, but ways of seeing things. And it takes time to change those by creating new pathways, by changing and doing new things or a new behavior. But the more routine, the more frequent it is, and the more repetition it has, the more we're able to productively change those behaviors. And having a routine, if you don't have a plan in place, I'm not talking about walking the plan. You got to have a plan before you walk the plan. How important, what did you guys learn in the Marines or in life, in that you must develop a routine, not just, I know so many guys, that they just bump into life as it happens every day. They wake up and they just kind of bump into life and just react to it. And they're not successful people. They may be a little bit successful because they bump into success, but it's hardly ever on purpose. Okay? They cannot maximize their success or their life without a plan. You know the old saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. What have you guys learned regarding the importance of thinking through? I'm not talking about walking it out yet, but putting through and putting down on paper or whatever a plan to follow, like a map.
Vision board. We've used vision boards at our house.
Yeah. What does that look like?
We put up all the things that we expect out of life, that we're looking for. It's heard it talked about like, okay, the more it's like using, I think the secret is kind of one of those things that everybody talks about. And if you visualize it and totally, think about it and you plan for it and you're expecting it, and eventually those things begin to pay off because it takes that constant thought process and drive towards something, and then it'll come to fruition. Just like I keep driving my kids saying, do the things you need to do before the things you want to do. The more you do that, guess what? Those things start to happen.
My kids are repeating that back to me now, by the way. Thank you for that.
Hey, I think it's a good one.
It is pretty good. I found it on the internet somewhere.
Oh, good.
The Grit podcast.
Yeah. One of my co-hosts, maybe.
How about you, Jake? What about routine?
So going down the PTSD rabbit hole and psychological triggers. Yeah. So if you look at through that lens and you wake up in the morning, you're going to wake up and get out of bed. A lot of similar patterns happen, right? So exactly what you're talking about, having a plan to do these things. If you look at it from a PTSD trauma point of view, how do you not have a trigger to hit the snooze button one more time? How do you not have a trigger to do something you shouldn't be doing? How do you not have a trigger? So how do you replace that negative trigger with a positive trigger? Hey, I'm going to get up. I'm going to look out my window. I'm going to have a note right here in my mirror that says, do 10 push-ups, or just whatever you want to put into play. And if you understand the neural pathways that help you do these things, that can if you don't have a plan, well, then make a plan. If you don't actively control that, you're developing that habit of not planning. Well, if you put in place positive triggers that are going to make you do something, hey, by the time I'm going to have a small cup of coffee, so when I'm done with my small cup of coffee, it's time to go do some pull-ups. Whatever the thing it is you want to do, actively do that, and then reflect back upon that. Now you get that dopamine hormone fire, and you reflect back on that, how good that was. Hey, I just had one cup of coffee. I went and busted out my nickels and dimes. Now I'm feeling pretty good. I'm going to do a little yoga stretch, have another cup of coffee, and get ready to go out the door. By putting that place and making things along your day to day a positive trigger, you can control it. I mean, we have that gift. We should be able to actively use that to influence us. You're not drifting through the day and bumping into whatever comes along. You're more constructive about it. And in that realm of pre-programming, you're creating that habit to make better triggers. And then once you've exhausted, once you've plateaued, you just like physical working out. Once you've plateaued mentally or emotionally, well, then set forth another set of goals and just keep moving forward.
Yeah. You said something, and so did Josh, that really stuck out to me. It goes along with this quote I want to give. It says, "The secret to your future is hidden in your daily routine." The secret to your future is hidden in your daily routine. Hmm? Let me ask you guys this, because we just get gritty here, okay? What is it that keeps guys from making a plan to get to where they want to go? What keeps a guy from actually making a plan? Step one is make that plan. Step two is to follow through with it. What keeps a guy from even making a plan in the first place so that he can get where he wants to go? And I have an idea. I got my answer. What do you think it is? What keeps a guy from doing that?
Go.
You want to go first?
Go for it, Jake. Have at it.
I'm going to say distractions. I think we're inundated with with unproductive distractions. So as men, we're designed hormonally to physiologically, testosterone has us push into the pain, has us push into a challenge. That's how we're wired to do. Mm-hmm. It's not a coincidence that women have evolved to be less likely to be colorblind, have a higher sense of smell, but yet we're better physically able to go and do tasks, run up the mountain and go get a deer and bring it back and everything, all of these different things. But being we're not doing that anymore on our day to day, to some degree, there's a little bit of emasculation involved. So it's plus all the chemicals and whatnot, but it's no surprise that testosterone is dropping. Well, that's a very motivating hormone for us to do. We're designed to get up and do awesome things. But if society says you shouldn't do that, and then you have your phone in front of you distracting you with, silly videos, and then the politics, and then you get this, and all these distractions, it makes you feel inept. It makes you feel weak. It makes you feel, and that's a very depressive state. And so I think that men these days, they're not tapping into the greatness that we're blessed with, having a certain hormone, a dominant hormone that makes us do things that makes you feel good about life. And if you're living a book that Josh sent me 30 years ago, I never thought we'd be in a book club sending books to each other, but here we are. A book that Josh sent me, The Men That We Need, it talks about that. If you spend all day doing pathetic and fake things, of course, at the end of the day, you're going to feel fake and pathetic. And that's very demoralizing. How are you going to be motivated to do anything unless you're out doing cool things? Now, your idea of a cool thing may be underwater basket weaving, and it may be climbing mountains. It may be, thank goodness we're all different. But ultimately,
wild animals.
If you're doing things that you find satisfying and rewarding, and then continually pushing the envelope, you're going to have a satisfying and fulfilling life. But I think the men, especially, get so distracted by the mundane, by the day to day, silly things like, what clothes are you going to wear? Oh gosh, the office drama. Oh, look, this thing on Instagrams and all these other different, TikTok, all these different distractions that pop up on your phone. I've got very few notifications on my phone just so I don't get scooped up into all that. It's hard, but the hard path often gets easier. You're setting pathways, exactly what you said, habits. So if you can set yourself up to succeed by not falling for those traps, not falling for those distractions, and then stay focused on what you want to do, that's going to tend to lead more into that same behavior, which is ultimately success, whatever that looks like to you.
Yeah. Very well said. Distraction. You're a lot kinder than me. Because I'm
we can talk about the different kinds of distractions.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's another podcast.
Yes, sir.
On track. Stay on track. Stay on track.
We'll talk about her another time. No. No. So my deal is this, and I'm harder on myself. I know you guys are probably the same way. I'm harder on myself than Josh can ever be on me, harder than my wife could ever be on me, my dad could ever be on me. Nobody's harder on me than me. And I'll tell you what mine was. My hang up with making a plan was I was just freaking lazy. I didn't want to do the work. I wanted the reward, and I didn't want the work. Okay?
That's human.
It is human, but it is bad. And I wondered, why don't I have any money? Why can't these people get it? It was always somebody else's dang fault.
Procrastination.
You know what, Josh? How do can I get rid of people? I can mute him. I can mute him for sure. I got it right here, the button. That's strike one for you. No laziness. If I don't make a plan, then I have an excuse for not achieving anything. I have an excuse for why I didn't quite make it. Oh, it was somebody else's fault. But when the moment you put a plan in place, you are held accountable to that plan because you wrote it. Like the 94 crime bill, mm-hmm. You wrote it. Okay. You are tied to it, or any other bill in Congress.
I think it goes back to something we talked about in the past, Jamie, is the accountability mirror. Looking in the mirror and owning whatever plan you make, owning the decisions you make, and holding yourself accountable for it.
Right, but here's the problem. When you're a weak, lazy man like I was, you don't want any shot at looking in the mirror and accepting who you know you really are deep down. I would rather be like Jake said, I would rather be distracted by all these things so I don't have to think about who I really am, what I'm really not doing.
That's
and
a
what
distraction.
I should be doing. 100%.
Safety and convenience are the bane of humanity. And so
Absolutely.
We're programmed
Absolutely.
to survive, not thrive. And so you really got to work on that. And that's where that accountability mirror is so powerful, because when you're lying to yourself. You know.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You got to get raw dog with yourself.
Oh, I knew it.
And
I knew
call
it.
yourself out. And it's
But distraction.
But look where you're at now. You've come through that. That's awesome.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Distraction is the salt on laziness. It will preserve that laziness. The longer I stay distracted, the longer I can be lazy, and that meat don't go bad. And as long as that meat don't go bad,
right.
I don't feel bad. And I can just continue on that bad cycle. But it took a traumatic event in my life to turn that around and to look at myself honestly in the mirror. And for everybody that's different. Okay. Mine was when I came to Christ. I saw who I was and who I wasn't, who he was and who he wasn't, what he was and what he's not. And it all became very clear to me of who I am on this tiny little speck of dust floating around in the universe. Okay. Mm-hmm. And it was that moment of tragic realization that humbled me to the point to where I said, I have no plan. I'm lazy. I'm arrogant. And I went right on down through all the flaws I had. And I looked at myself with a real eye, without distraction, purely for who I was. And I knew I was trash.
So
I knew something had to change.
I got a question, Jamie.
But what changed you?
The having the plan and believing that, like I've said in the past, is it my plan or is it his plan? Now, are you sitting there and you think you're running the plan? You think you're running the ship?
No.
Are you really on course for what you want, or are you listening to all the indicators out there that's the plan?
Have you guys ever been on a cruise ship? You ever been on a cruise?
Yep.
You ever been on a boat?
In the Marines, it was gray.
Yeah.
Man, I went on a cruise in the Bahamas, and this is not a perfect analogy, but this is the best one I can think of. I got on that ship. I made a plan to get on that ship. There's activities. These boats are huge. These cruise ships are huge, right? For vacation. Yep. You could shoot ski, golf balls, basketball, swimming, comedy clubs, all you can eat lobster, everything. I made a daily plan on all the things I was going to do. I'm going to go scuba diving on this day. I had all these plans set out. But here's the thing. I'm on this ship, and there's a captain of that ship. He knows he's docking from here, and he's going to arrive down there. He's the one taking us from point A to point Z. Now, I got a plan for all these things I'm going to do on this ship, but in the end, I'm only going where the captain wants me to go. So
great analogy.
I'm gonna have this freedom of choice on this ship. I ain't leaving this ship called Earth. I can do whatever I want. I knew people who go on cruises. They say, yeah, we just slept the whole time. I went to Hawaii with some folks. They hardly left the room. They went out for dinner and stuff. I'm looking around going, wow, look at all, I'm zip lining. I'm doing all this stuff in Hawaii. But here's the deal. Doesn't really matter. The bottom line is this, is I'm responsible for what I do on this ship until it docks. In the end, I'm going there. I'm ending up over there. But what I've seen is that not having a plan is just you're setting yourself up for obvious failure.
How do you lay out that plan? How do you decide your plan? How do you decide the end game? How do you?
Well, how
can men get their head around that?
Well, let me say this. Let me piggyback on something you said earlier, Jake, about the cognitive function that comes along with routine, right? Routine supports cognitive function, right? Because we're wired this way for routine and for habit, just like you were saying earlier. But it supports our cognitive function. We are naturally built for routine. And when we're constantly distracted, like what you and Josh were saying, we're constantly distracted from that. We are outside of our normal cognitive function. Our normal cognitive function, the way we're all created, is for habit, is for routine. And when we're constantly distracted, we're living in an unnatural way. No wonder we're scattered.
So with that,
it has to be in balance. Go ahead, Josh.
Well, go ahead, Jake. Finish up, and then we'll.
I was just going to say that women tend to be able at multitasking better than men. And yes, distraction is part of what brings humans down, but you're still able to enjoy and smell the roses. You're still able to look around while you're still focused on something. But the trouble is that balance gets off. Instead of it being, 80 or 90% focus and just 10%, 20%, enjoy the path. You really can only truly focus on one thing. However, there's lots of things along the way that you can get into. The problem is people get too much distraction and not enough focus. And it throws that balance all off, throws off your hormones, your whole cognitive function. It messes things up. And I think that keeping that balance and being aware of knowing yourself, like Gandhi said, undoubtedly the purpose of life is to know oneself. If you know that you're getting too distracted, how do you call yourself on that and make sure that you're back on track? That's important.
So with all that, you'd say kind of leads to having how to like stay on that routine would be creating tasks for yourself throughout the day, or how would that what's that look like?
Well,
For me or for
Right.
Bob,
I think he's
yeah.
throwing it out
under
there.
this podcasting thing.
He just threw a bone out
I
there.
think that
He wants us
I
to
do.
fight for it.
Try to stay on
I think
task.
that,
Only trouble, Jake. Only trouble. No, I mean, well,
I write lists, lots of lists.
lots of lists. Yeah. Jake said something earlier that goes right along with what you just asked. He says, how do you know what plan to make? Like, how do you know what to do? How do you know what it needs to say? I think that comes down with what is it you want to become and what is it that you want to accomplish? You know, there's who you are,
Yes,
and then
sir.
there's what you do. And I think those are two completely separate things. I think that who you are, improving yourself, like what you said, Gandhi's, is to know oneself. You got to know the hand you've been dealt, what you're capable of, and then push the limits to that. But
Absolutely.
you set those plans in place to what you want to be, because I'm a firm believer that you have to know who you are before you'll know what to do. When you know who you are, then you will know what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? I think that comes first. I think we get it backwards sometimes, but like what Josh is saying with these tasks, well, how can you possibly know what kind of plan to put in place unless you know who you want to be and where you want to go? And the way I do it is I
Start
write
with the
down
end
my
in
own
mind.
goal and I work backwards. I don't start from here to get there.
That's right.
I start
That's
with the end goal and I work backwards
So
to
you
where I am today.
begin with the end in mind.
Is that how you guys do it? Yeah. Is that how you guys do it? Or do you have a different way or what?
That's a great phrase. Okay, I want to be a good person. What's that look like? I want to be good, be a good husband, a good father. I want to be a good friend. I want to be a good underwater basket weaver. Whatever it is that you want to do, what's the steps it takes to get to do that? You know, what's that look like for your particular vision, for your dream of how you picture yourself at your end of days or along that journey, and then envision that, and then don't deviate from that. Everything you deviate from that particular path is a distraction, and ultimately it's taking you from that goal of whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, whatever that looks like to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like Josh said, setting the plan in place is one thing. What's the next part?
Execution.
Is that what you
Tasks.
military people call it? Execution. Why you gotta be so violent, Jake? You and Josh, I'll tell you what. No, not
That's a life execution, not tax execution.
Execute.
Hey,
Love it. Execution. Hey, don't they still execute people in Alaska? Speaking of execution, they got the chair or the what? Lethal?
Got
What's
bears.
up there?
Got bears and moose. Bears and moose and fentanyl.
You just cut the inmates loose in the middle of the rugged terrain. Wish them the best.
Yeah, I don't know about all that. There seems to be a lot of distraction-based crimes. Folks that want to numb their life and instead of focusing on what they need to do because it's painful. The emotional pain is the most painful pain you'll ever feel, right?
Yeah.
So if you're trying to numb yourself from that pain, you tend to distract yourself, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, with generally over consuming something, whether it's gossip or food, alcohol, drugs, whatever, shopping, whatever it is that trips your trigger. Find a positive habit, like working out. That's a healthy distraction. Find a good one, like reading. That's a good one. Help out other people. That's a great distraction.
So having a plan is going to keep you away from distraction. I mean, you're going to be hit with distraction, but
That's right.
having a plan and committing to that plan is going to keep you less likely, at least, to fall into distraction.
Significantly less likely.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely.
I agree with you.
And then commit to it.
Yeah. Well, what about executing? What about executing that plan? I mean, it's one thing. I used to make plans all the time, and I would start well, then I'd never finish it. I was not a good finisher at one point.
you have to break them down. You got to break them down into smaller chunks. Everything has to be broke down into smaller chunks. That's where the tasks come in.
Why?
Because if you think of like Jake had commented about being a good friend, being a good husband, okay, that's a pretty general big task. Now, what are you going to do that? Am I going to pay attention to my wife more often? Am I going to, spend time with my children? Am I going to be there for my friends when they need me? What are you doing? Those tasks, those little things as you break it down to start driving towards that big goal, to follow that plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I can see that if you just have some generalized goal, I'm going to be, like you said, a better husband. What does that mean? Like, spell it out. And it's not, I don't know about for you guys. For me, it's not enough just to think about even the specifics. I've got to write these things down.
Yep.
To me, there's something about writing it, not typing, writing
Yes.
it with a pen and
Yes.
paper or a tablet, writing with my hand, like with a pen, writing this stuff down. I don't
There's
know.
something magic.
I don't know
Write
the
it in cursive.
psychology behind it. I know that when your eyes see it and it translates from your mind to paper, then back into your eyes, it really solidifies in your brain to make clear what
Yes,
the
sir.
steps are to accomplish that. And if not, they're just fleeting thoughts. They come and go, and distraction will steal those specifics if you don't write this stuff down. You guys write stuff down?
And then absolutely. And as you accomplish these tasks, check that box and then bask in that for just a second. That's that little dopamine release. That's that habit forming hormone.
Yeah, you got to celebrate
that
it,
makes
right?
you want to do more of that.
Celebrate the win.
Absolutely. Bask in that accomplishment. That's a win. Absolutely. So it's a very positive win. Now you're setting up yourself for success with a positive trigger. Okay, it's been 2 weeks since I bought flowers. Oh no, I need to get on that. Okay, we haven't just sat down and talked. We haven't been on a date night. Whatever it is that you need to do, just go walk through the woods and hold hands. I mean, there's lots of things that you can do that, depending on the love languages of the couple and whatnot, being cognizant of your partner's love language and not just your own, but making sure that you're satisfying those needs and checking those boxes. Okay, cool. I'm doing these things that I value and that I see as a good thing. Ask for feedback from your partner. Hey, do you like going for walks, and holding hands, or would you rather, go watch a movie, or more public display of affection? You want to go out to have dinner and have me, have some flowers delivered while you're there. It just depends on the person, the personality type.
Yeah.
Those are all great things to check. Bask in that, and then let that dopamine fly in your brain. That habit forming, and you want to do more of that. It's great.
Yeah.
It's a constructive plan.
Yeah. Well, there's one problem with this whole routine and tasks thing you guys are talking about.
People who procrastinate.
We'll get to that later. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Now, see, I pointed that out, and I shouldn't have pointed it out. I should have just let it simmer.
Yep.
The problem with everything that you guys are talking about with routine and task is that you have to partake into something that no one likes, and that is pain, cost. It's going to cost you something to make a routine. You have to recognize who you are and who you're not. That's painful most of the time, especially if you're not where you want to be. You have to acknowledge the fact that you're either behind or you're not quite there yet. Okay, so no guy who has any amount of pride likes that feeling. The other thing is that in order to follow through with these tasks to accomplish that routine is going to take sacrifice. And sacrifice comes natural to nearly no one. How do you guys adopt the idea that you're going to have to sacrifice some things that you like, some things that you love, those distractions we love, that laziness we love to get all snuggled and warm with? How do you guys face those things and accept the fact that I'm going to have to sacrifice? What empowers you to make those sacrifices? It's kind of a deeper question.
Reframe that word. Reframe that word sacrifice and pain. Pain is a powerful motivator, and if you can use that pain as motivation to drive you to do something that perhaps you should do less of, into doing something you should be doing more of, that's a pretty powerful tool. What is pain? You're talking emotional pain. It's just a hormone that you're feeling. If it's physical pain, well, it's electrical stimulus going through your body. So, I've been cut up pretty good, and you can block that physical pain through meditation and whatnot. It's possible. Now, sacrifice, your time is your most valuable resource. Well, so if you're sacrificing your time, are you really sacrificing it? If you're giving it, if you're donating it, if you're generously blessing, your partner is blessing you with their life. If you're blessing them with your time, that's a I would venture to say that's not a sacrifice. That's the most powerful gift you can give. And seeing it in that light instead of, oh man, now I don't get to watch football because gosh darn it, my wife wants to go for a walk or the kids want to go do something, or it's reframing the words and being in that headspace is a very, very powerful tool to help you to keep doing the things that you know that you should be doing.
I think a lot of stuff, a lot of this leads back to the distraction thing that we talked about way earlier. I know when I was doing what I was doing before in my life, I was busy with a job, and you're working, every day, getting up at 4, going to work, coming home at 5. You're doing all these things, and you're doing it in the thought process of you're providing for the family. Okay, you're working, you're providing money and all these other things. But in the actuality of it, it was a distraction away from my family. I had lost my family. I was giving up my time, which is valuable, to a job that was taking away from my family and from my kids and my wife and everything else. And finding that balance in my life where you're able to provide for the family, but able to provide for the wife and the kids and yourself is an important thing. Because if you're not happy, if you're unhappy where you're at, it's not that I was unhappy as like I'm an angry individual. I was not focused on my family. So I would find myself becoming angry with people at work, or angry at the job, or angry with the people on the road, or whatever, because I was losing myself to all those other things and not giving myself to my family or myself. And that finding that balance in life has made everything. It has changed it all for everything it is. It makes it easy to go to what you were saying is sacrificing for them. You're not, to me now, it doesn't feel like a sacrifice to give my time to my kids. It's a blessing. It's a blessing to be able to be there. When I watch my kids succeed, that blessing of seeing them just take off and thrive is way, way better than
That's the real currency of life.
Amen.
Absolutely. You know what? You just summed it up, Josh. You started because you had a change of mindset about what was happening with your job and how that was affecting your family. That started with an attitude. You changed the attitude, the way you saw certain things. Then you changed your routine.
Yep.
Now I'm going to change the way I do things because I see this is hurting and this is helping, but this is hurting. You see the distraction. You see how making money and providing for your family. And I used to use this as a justification for me not being there. Well, look, if I'm not out working hard, then you guys don't have this. So you need to appreciate that. All the while, they're the ones starving to death, even though I'm making money.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And just what Jake said, what is the currency of life, man? It is your wife and your children. It starts at home, not at your job. It starts at home. But it was what Josh was saying. Both of you guys were saying this. Change the way that you see things. And if you change the way that you see things and you decide to make a plan, then your plan looks different than it did before because your mindset has changed. Now that your plan is different, you just have to walk through it, not in a minimal kind of way, but now you've got to walk through and actually do those things. And the things that kept me from actually performing those tasks in this wonderful plan that I had was the fact that I didn't want the result enough to suffer for it. I did not want the result enough to suffer for it, to sacrifice for it. And I know how you said to reframe that, the pain and to see it in a positive way. And when I did, I saw my pain differently.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I saw my pain not as fire, but I saw it as fuel. It is the pain that's going to propel me to those blessings or to those end goals. I got a quote here. I want to hear what both of you guys think about it. It says this. It says the whole point of seeing through something is to see something through it. The whole point of seeing through your plan, seeing it through, is to see something through it. What do you think about that? That's one of the best quotes I think I've run across.
That's pretty good.
So basically, it's if you're going to follow through it, once you've followed through it, you want to see something at the end of it that it accomplished. What did you accomplish by that?
Yeah, why else would we do it?
Exactly. So it goes back to my earlier comment that by me changing my life, I changed the course of my kid's life. And so without those changes I made in my life, my son's life has changed. My wife's life has changed, and my daughter's life has changed. Those things have. So I would never have seen that if I wouldn't have followed through with what I'm doing now.
You know what? In our culture, they can say anything they want, but here's the truth. It starts with the man in the home. It starts with the husband. That's the way God designed it. That's just the way that it is. It's nothing against women like they're weak or anything. It has nothing to do with that. But statistics show when there is not a strong man in the home, everything has a tendency to suffer and or fall apart completely. The reason this country is in the shape it is today is not because of the Democrats or the Republicans or the independents. It's because of weak men who are weak at home. They're weak at their jobs. They're weak out in society. And this country's falling apart because of it. Go ahead, Jake.
Well, 80% of people in incarceration had a fatherless household. So looking at that statistics, you touched on that a little bit. How a man treats his wife is how your sons are going to learn to treat their wives, and then your daughters are going to learn how to be expected from that. So it goes much more than just having the real currency of life within your household. It's a lot more than that, because you're literally setting society up to succeed. I'm in the construction business, and just talking to one of the HR managers very recently about traveling and work and this and that. Well, we can't find anybody to get in the construction field. It's a good paying, very emotionally rewarding skill to trade, to build something with your hands. That feels great. Yeah. Well, we're having a hard time getting people to come into the industry. Well, why is that? Well, because boys don't know how to act. They're immature. Boys don't know how. They have not seen that. And as adults, we've come home. Oh, taxes are too high. Oh, the job sucks. Oh, gosh, this, gosh, that. And so now this generation has seen that work is hard, work sucks, and therefore, and it's not rewarding. And then now, the men in the household are not demonstrating that, hey, I'm giving some of my time to this job, but I'm getting enough back to do these other things that we need to do that are more important. But it's a give and take. It's a sacrifice. And so coming into the industry nowadays, these young men, they don't have that drive. They don't have that guidance. They don't know what it's like to put in a hard day. They'll just give up, just drag up and walk away way too easily without ever having any kind of pressure. So by having men in the house to raise their children like men, to raise to treat their wives right, to demonstrate how that is, you're helping society generationally. Well, we've been going backwards because of the weak men. We need to turn that around and be going forward and have stronger leaders, men and women, to raise our kids to be stronger leaders, to demonstrate how to act, how to live, how to be, how to provide, how to work. It's the feeling that you get is for yourself, but it is so much bigger than just yourself, than just you in a relationship with your wife.
Yeah, and your family, because the dominoes fall. Physics say if you throw a rock in the middle of the lake, the ripples never stop until they hit the shoreline. And who knows?
And they bounce back.
So
it's just more and more.
Yeah, but it's the same way with all of our choices: the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yes.
So look, man. Hey, Jake, we're running out of time. I'm so glad that you came on. I'm so glad I found you and brought you on myself. So that's always really good. Josh, I'm glad you showed up, I guess. And
just here to fill in when I can.
Josh, you always find the great people, and man, what a privilege it is to have met you, Jake. I've heard a lot about you from Josh, and we'd really love to have you on again if you'll come back.
I want to come down and do it in person as well, but I really got to ask you about your shirt.
My shirt?
You got your orders all messed up there. Coffee's got to be on top.
Oh, I know, right? I know. Hey, it's just the way that they made it. So
hey, depends where you live.
Coffee. I'm actually a sunrise guy. But like I said, I'm not big on the ocean. I don't go in over my knees. I'm afraid of the ocean. One of my biggest fears is things in there that can swallow me whole. And then the mountain. I love mountains and coffee. So I'm bookended here. I'm pretty good. But
we'll have to get you up here to Fairbanks so you can watch a couple hours long at sunset.
I'm not going to Alaska, my friends. Too cold. I don't like the cold weather.
Oh, no.
I don't like the cold weather. But just to cap it all off, man, it starts with each and every one of you men out there listening or watching. Change the way you wake up, your morning attitude, develop a morning routine, And I know Josh makes his bed. That's the first thing he does. Maybe we'll post the link to that gentleman's video. What's his name? Do you remember his name?
No, I'll find it and I'll get it to you.
Yeah, get it to me. We're going to put that in the show notes, everybody. But you got to watch that. Morning attitude will change everything. The attitude will change your routine, determine what kind of routine you have, and then following through with those tasks is a really good start about attacking your day before you've actually stepped out and attacked the day. So you want to make sure you're prepared for that. Josh, as always, my brother, my co-host, love you, man. Jake, it was so good to have you. We're going to have Jake on again from Alaska. Hopefully he'll come down here. We'll have Josh buy him a plane ticket. I think that's the least Josh could do. And you guys have anything else before we shut her down?
Nope.
Nope.
Thanks for your time.
Keep it going.
Yeah. Hey, all you men out there, be well. We'll see you next time right here on The Grit.